Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. It's Lane here with MetaShackle. Today I want to go over my XRP dream that I posted a little over a month ago on my channel. I don't know if you've ever taken melatonin, but I take melatonin every night before I go to sleep, and it will give me some of the most incredible dreams, just crazy dreams. I've always been a dreamer. I dream basically every night, and a lot of times if I'm taking a nap and I just lay down for an hour or so, as soon as I start to fall asleep, I will literally just start dreaming. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't dream at all or dream very rarely, but I am a nightly dreamer. The only problem is I can't remember my dreams unless I write them down right after I wake up. But usually if I do that, then for some reason I can't forget them, which makes absolutely no sense. But I'm going to go over this dream, which was very vivid, and I've had quite a few dreams in regards to liquidity, which I've shared with my cousin, who is one of only a handful of people who I know who've actually invested in XRP and know where it's going. He knows what he holds. So I had a dream last night that I was in an ancient Roman-style building, and I was on the top floor crawling over a floor painted with a mural of Apollo the Destroyer. Everyone was frantically trying to get to the balcony to jump off. Once I got to the balcony ledge, people were jumping off left and right in a frenzy, but it was too dark to see anything below. Price crash, perhaps? I couldn't see where the bottom was. I didn't know where it was. At the last second, I decided not to jump. Sell, perhaps, with everyone else. And I remained on the balcony ledge. Then a full moon came out and illuminated what was below the balcony. A price increase, perhaps, revealing a lake below. However, the water, the liquidity, had receded so far back that only the lake bed remained, and everyone who had jumped landed on the lake bed, hurting themselves badly. Perhaps they sold too low, and due to a lack of liquidity, they couldn't buy back in again. I was just sitting there on the balcony ledge, alone, uninjured, enjoying the moonlight peacefully. Then I woke up. It's interesting how your subconscious can tell you things, and this isn't the first dream I've had about, quote, liquidity, unquote. So I've always thought that this dream described what we are starting to see right now. Prices tumbling to the point where a lot of people are just freaking out, selling out of anger, frustration, fear, wishing that they would have sold at higher prices, but they didn't, which was not my game plan at all. My game plan is to hold long term. So I have a long-term strategy that will probably reach somewhere into the early 2030s, maybe 2032. It's hard to say really, but it's definitely long-term. So in this dream, the people were just running and jumping off the balcony. They were just literally running, taking a step up, planting their foot on the balcony ledge, and just jumping into oblivion. And literally, once they jumped off the side, I couldn't see where they were going. It was so dark. The only light in the dream was that which was being shown from above of that upper floor in that Roman-style building. And I'm crawling. For some reason, everybody else is running and just jumping, but I'm crawling and crawling. And on the floor, I'm crawling over a mural of Apollo the Destroyer. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, in the Bible, that's Revelation 9:11. And the number 9/11 has a lot to do with the destruction, as we Americans well know. Once I got to the ledge, I stood up on the balcony ledge and was just about to jump. I was fearful. I didn't want to jump because I couldn't see what was below, literally jumping into a black hole. And at the last minute, I changed my mind because everybody else had already jumped. I'm literally standing there by myself. So I sat down on the ledge, and then all of a sudden, right in front of me, appeared a mountain range, and I could start to see the light glowing behind it. And a full moon started to show itself and started to rise up. Once the full moon had exposed itself, it lit everything around us. You could finally see the environment around me of what was outside of that upper floor in that Roman-style building from where I was sitting on the balcony. And as I looked below, I could see all the people that had jumped off the balcony. So they must have assumed that there was water down there, but apparently there wasn't, because they had all landed on this dry lake bed, and they were just laying everywhere, just hundreds of people all over the place, wreathing in pain because they had jumped so far down and then they'd been injured horribly. And you could see that there was water out in the horizon, but it was way far back there. But at the same time, looking below, you could see that at some point the water level actually comes up to that spot. So if those people would have jumped off when the water level was higher, they would have just landed in the water. But at the time they jumped, there was no liquidity. And as I just sat there on the balcony, I was peaceful, completely peaceful, and just looking at the moon. And I could only take that as people were selling at the worst possible time, when liquidity was very low, which caused them most likely to get way lower prices than they expected, getting hurt very, very badly. But to where I sat there and didn't sell along with everybody else, I was uninjured. So I can only assume that the people who had sold at those low levels weren't able to get back in when the moon came. So as I'm sitting there looking at this incredible full moon up in the sky, I was the only person on the balcony still left to enjoy it, because everybody below, they were just hurting. Now that's only my assumption of what that dream means, but I assume that because I've had numerous dreams all involving water in one way or another, which had to do with liquidity, which in my opinion were directly related to XRP. Now, I don't know why I had these dreams, but for whatever reason I did. And many of the dreams that I had previous to this one involving liquidity were a little more obvious that that's what it was showing me or revealing to me, whatever that means. And maybe one day I'll share those dreams with you too. One of them involved Elon Musk. It was very interesting. So does this mean that there's going to be an even bigger drop, and that during this liquidation people are going to be abandoning ship? I think the possibility of that happening is very likely. Now, if we take a look at the monthly total crypto market cap chart, we can see that it's formed this nice cup and handle pattern. We then formed this handle and broke out here on November 3rd during the Trump election pump. We then came up to the top, struck the number 6 level on my Fibonacci charts. The second candle here actually hit that level perfectly, which is one way that I know that these numbers that I use actually work. Then, as you well know, the markets fell starting in December, played around, and have been dropping ever since to what we saw today, which was another incredible drop. Now, going with my grafting trading philosophy, weak dojis tend to give you information that you wouldn't otherwise think is significant, because most people are looking at the bigger candles. Now, if you look, there is a weak doji right in this area here, and subsequently when you center it, the drops that we've seen right here are in that particular area. They're not perfect, but they are pretty close to that bottom. Now, if we switch to the weekly rather than the monthly chart and take a closer look, you can see that we have a weak doji right here, and we have a few weak dojis below this. Now, I believe what we're going to see is another liquidation candle that's going to drop down, and I believe that it could drop down into this area, and at the very worst it could drop down to this weak doji right here, which, if it did, would be a drop somewhere in the realm of another 15 to 16% from the current market cap. Now, the reason why I go with this area is because if you go to the top of it, you can see it measures out from the top of this weak doji to the bottom of this weak doji right here, marking out a box. Now, I think that liquidation candle will most likely come here, but if it's as aggressive as I believe it could potentially be, we could see a liquidation candle coming all the way down here, hitting that 15 to 16% range. Could that be the liquidation candle that I was dreaming about, where people were bailing out and getting injured horribly right before the moon came out? Because it's not uncommon for these cup and handle patterns to have a breakout from this rim line, come up, set a high, and then fall back down in the area of that rim line, then breaking out even bigger from that area. But as we know, these market makers know the average trader like the back of their hand, and they know how to push their buttons. And they know that if they drive the price down low enough, not only will they liquidate all of the long positions, but they will convince a lot of people who are holding XRP for the long term to finally just throw their gloves in and just give up, just get sick of it. So frustrated, they're like, you know what? I'm not losing my initial investment. I'm out. Could that be what's coming? This is part 1 of a 2-part series. In the second video, I'm going to be going over the charts of the ISO-20022 tokens, as well as a few additional that I like. And I'm going to show you these liquidation zones and where they're at, so you can get an idea of where prices could go if we see another liquidation candle. But I firmly believe that we are going to see an incredible move here soon. So thank you for watching. I'll see you on video number 2, which I'll be putting out soon. Have a great day.
Want to take a ride?